Welcome. Thanks for checking back in with us at the Music and Us podcast. This is episode 4, season 4, and tonight we're talking about Prince Rogers Nelson, born June 7th, 1958, passing April 21st, 2016. He's on our minds tonight, and we're talking in particular 2 of his gems from the early 90s. All right, well,
Prince time.
I think it's about time to start.
What songs are we doing here?
We are doing...
Which one are we doing? Let me look up the lyrics. I'm asking.
The Max
by
The Max.
Prince.
Okay.
And 3 Chains
that,
O
didn't we?
Gold.
Let's see if I can get that back. Yeah, they're Power Generation and Prince.
I listened to them both on the way over here, too, by the way.
Yeah, I listened to Unsainted like on repeat on the way over here. Get myself reacquainted with the
Both of my songs are so long. Those are the only 2 I could listen to on the way here.
Well, you
Alright,
also
you guys
have
ready?
a much shorter drive than
Well,
I do.
Ready?
Yeah.
Rolling. Cool.
This is episode... Wait a minute. Let me count. 4.
No
4,
idea.
4?
I don't know. Are we
No
counting
idea.
the Christmas episode?
No, that's bonus content.
Okay, so I think this is
bonus
I had to
content.
make it 1.5 on Anchor. I guess
Oh,
He goes away.
1.5. Or 2.5?
Yeah, that's
this is number 4?
well,
I haven't...
episode 3 has
His
not
comes
been
out-
posted, so
Yeah, it's your episode that will be posted tomorrow or Friday.
Okay.
So,
Oh, okay.
so this
is
is 4.
4. Okay.
You got it.
Obviously, we're going to restart. I don't look so dumb. Okay.
Nobody's looking. It's a podcast.
I look dumb and I sound dumb. That's not fair, man.
I just now noticed you're wearing a Dolly Parton shirt.
This is my favorite. Christmas
She's
present.
very hot right now. She's Dolly's she's so hot right now.
She's never not been
Dolly. She's so hot right now. Dolly.
hot. Oh my God, Dolly.
Because of her Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction.
She's actually going to put out a rock album now.
Yeah, I heard that.
I'm interested.
Did you hear
Yeah, I'm
AJ when they
interested.
did the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction? She performed Jolene, which is one of her
Oh,
famous
okay.
country songs,
Yeah, that's from the
with
70s.
Rob Halford of Judas Priest.
Ugh.
She performed
Just,
that with
ugh.
Pentatonics for a video. She actually, you know what? It's always, well, not always, because she didn't say it all that long ago, but when she declined saying that she'd never made a rock album, I was kind of surprised because she sort of did. It was something in Halos and something, or Halos and Thorns. I don't know, but they were rock songs that she covered. Like she covered Stairway to Heaven on it,
Huh.
and there were a couple. It was all of them.
But did she country fry it?
She did. She did it
Sure.
her way.
Yeah, she did
but,
Dolly.
But they
Dolly
were,
way, yeah.
I mean, I love her version of Stairway to Heaven. Talk about it, gives me chills
Huh.
as much as the original does. It's different, but it's still really, really good. But anyway, yeah, I'll be excited to see, hear. You see you do see an album. You do see
With
an
the right
album.
drugs.
I mean, you
With the-
visualize music in your head, right? Just as what Scott was talking about with the specter
3
of
Chains
death.
of Gold.
3
Yeah.
Chains of Gold
I
by
listened to
Prince.
3 Chains of Gold.
I think
Band
he's
of
trying to get me
Gold.
back on track. So,
And the Max.
the Max.
The
We're
Max.
here to talk about Prince today. Prince, because we have been talking about artists who have passed from this mortal coil, who we miss.
Mhm.
And I miss Prince. And to catch
Sure.
you up, Scott missed
Bowie.
Bowie. That was a fantastic episode.
I definitely miss Bowie too.
And Chip Paul missed Christine McVie, so we talked about her, and that was
Mhm.
awesome. I really enjoyed learning more about her.
Yeah, I learned a whole lot about Fleetwood Mac that up.
And then you missed Chris Cornell, and we talked about him.
Still
and
miss him.
all his prolific music. And so today I'm talking about Prince. Tried talking about it before, but I wasn't really with it. So to recap anything pertinent that I bumbled through the first time, I picked this one because it seemed like you guys really delved deep into music that affected you deeply, like as a teenager. Well, and yours too. I mean, and I think that's true for a lot of us. That's just a time when we're ripe for input. We're ripe for, the rebellion. And so it's no surprise to me that we're all talking about music that touched us as teens instead of something that, came and went. Because we're not talking about just music. We're talking about the artists and like their whole canon of music and how it affected us. We're just picking a couple songs just to kind of illustrate.
And of course, you grew up in the MTV generation.
I did.
So,
I did. So
you'd be watching a Prince video and drooling over, various bodies in the video.
Various bodies is a really good way to put it for a kid who had no idea what his sexuality was.
Yeah.
And didn't really even care to figure it out. Because really sex scared the crap out of me.
I can remember in the 80s when I was working at a restaurant, and the song would be on the radio, and I'd be like, this guy was playing this. I don't like this song. Oh, but you should see the video. And
what song was it?
I can't remember.
Oh, you
what
remember
it
the
was.
song? Okay.
But it was just like,
did you watch
it's
the
on
video?
the radio. I want to hear something I like.
Yeah.
Oh, you should see the video. But
I know. Well,
it's welcome to the 80s and MTV generation.
And that's probably left a big imprint on me. Because, I mean, how many times have I said, I saw this video on YouTube and then really fell in love with the song? Or,
yeah, right.
So much of my new music does come from YouTube because it's the video that makes, it just makes sense to me that the visual goes along with the song, because that's literally how I was raised.
Remember Thriller, when
really
Thriller
thought
came
about it
out?
that
You remember
way,
how many people everybody had to
they
go
had
watch
Thriller dance parties and Thriller watch
yeah.
parties.
Man, that's huge.
And Thriller
Yeah.
watch parties.
Heck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah.
Whole thing.
So, I mean,
Which
it
I
literally-
avoided.
Well, I
could have
watched
a
the
whole
video a
episode
couple
about Michael
times,
Jackson too.
But I mean,
But
that was
Prince.
it.
Talking about Prince.
We could talk about their rivalry or lack thereof.
Prince came on the scene with 1999. That's when I remember.
Well, he was on.
That's
the
what
scene
I remember
before, but
knowing
yeah,
him.
that was the big
Yeah,
one. That
that's
was one
right.
of the big
now,
ones.
was that before the Purple Rain
A
album?
little bit, right? Just barely.
Or
Like,
after Purple
Oh,
Rain?
I'm trying to.
I think it was
You
just
know
a little
what?
bit.
Let me pull up his discography.
Because Purple Rain was a big deal too.
Yeah.
I think
yeah.
Purple Rain was 4.
I remember
Was it
that
before?
song and,
Okay, well then,
and thinking, oh my gosh, 1999,
then I was
that's a
aware
long
of
time
Prince
away.
before.
Well,
1999
Purple Rain
then.
is really what put him on the map.
Okay.
Oddly, I mean, who gets a movie out of their first, like real big record? But he'd been in music. His dad was a musician. His whole family. There are a lot of musicians in his family, and it came from a very musical area.
Just like McVie.
Yeah, basically. Milwaukee. That was his. Now that I said Milwaukee, hold on.
I thought it was Minneapolis.
I think
It
you're
was,
right. I
and
think you're
that was that little thing in my head that said, "Hey, check that." Yeah, it was Minneapolis.
From
It didn't sound right when it was coming out of my mouth.
Minneapolis, arguably the birthplace of alt rock, alternative rock.
Well, it was
Arguably.
definitely, and I mean,
The Replacements come from there.
Yeah.
They're considered the godfathers of alternative rock.
By what crowds?
Rockologists, I suppose. If you read
Interesting.
Wikipedia, it says that. That's where I got that. So
Mm.
well, I've never really, I don't know about anybody else, but I've never really thought of Minneapolis as a music
cultural
mecca.
center.
But it is.
Like a
It's-
tastemaker.
It's a music
Yeah.
city. I mean, there were a
Like
lot of
Memphis.
the
you know, I could
Bodines
do
came
that.
from Minneapolis.
Wow.
That you remember when we did the Jayhawks?
Yeah,
and did
yeah.
one of their songs. That's their Minneapolis alt country group.
That was one of the first surprises is, looking into Prince, seeing where it came from and just like the wealth of music that came from there. It was it was mind boggling. Boggling.
Boggling and blowing at the same time. Blogling. It sounds like a sounds like a Dr. Seuss line.
So I also have to say that after choosing this and doing the research and finding out everything that I did about this album that I first heard of 30 years ago at this point ish, it really solidified for me why I love doing this podcast, because we didn't have the internet. you know, when this came out. It wasn't, you saw what was put in front of you, and there wasn't much put in front of me in Monrovia, Indiana.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know, the
Except for corn.
so, you know, our local video store was never going to have the film that came out with this album. I didn't know it existed until I was doing my research, and it's incredibly rare. All I could find were VHS and Laserdiscs. Wow. I don't even have anything to play either of those on.
Mm-hmm.
So I
unavailable streaming then.
Well, some of it, yeah.
There's a VHS player right behind us for future reference.
Well, I also didn't want the quality of a VHS. So,
well, that's probably all you're gonna get then.
I know, because I did
It's time to start an internet petition.
For true and real.
Yeah.
Because I ended up getting someone burned a copy of the Laserdisc onto DVD.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, well, the source material is going to be better than a VHS, so I'm going to go with that one. It's only like $15, and it's good enough for me to pop into my computer and just be enamored for the whole time. I seriously, I popped that in. I don't think I took my eyes off until it was over. It was amazing. So there's also a comic book.
Wow. Really?
What's the name of the album?
The Love Symbol.
The Love
Because that's
Symbol.
right after he changes his name.
Oh.
It was a contract dispute with Warner Brothers. They wanted him to put out more music more quickly because more money.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to release music in his time, in his way.
Mm-hmm.
So they wouldn't let him out of his contract. You know, so I've heard him say in later years that he seems to have evolved to a place of Zen understanding about the situation, but he still didn't like it. There's a great interview with Larry King that I watched. It was really great. So yeah, this came right after that. So that symbol, if you look up the album cover, there's a big old symbol on it, and that was actually on the jewel case. So the artwork was behind that. That was his name.
The artist formerly known as Prince.
Yes.
And it was funny. Larry King asked him.
Now, was that so he could get out of his contract?
I think it was probably
it was
a middle finger to everybody, I think. At first I thought it was pretentious.
That's really what it felt like. And it probably was. I mean, probably, I'm sure. At least later when he was talking about it, it seemed to have a spiritual significance to him. Like, he happened to also be going through some spiritual stuff at the time and felt a name change was, you know, part of, you know, his spiritual journey, and that was it. Of course, nobody but Prince would get away with that. I mean, I've got to be able to say my name if a cop pulls me over, but
my name is Symbol.
It really was changed legally and everything. It's very interesting. I'd had that thought, but he was still under contract with him. It's weird. I don't know if anybody will ever really fully understand why he did it, but I think that's kind of his thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, when he did it, I just thought he was just rebranding himself, you know, try to give his career a boost, is what I was thinking. I didn't know it was a deep personal thing.
It was a deep personal thing, even if there were other things going on and other factors. He talk about the rebranding. I thought back to David Bowie a lot when I was researching Prince, because...
Well, Prince is definitely a musical genius, a creative musical genius.
No doubt. I'm really glad to hear you say that. He plays all the music.
Yes, exactly.
He can play every thing that you hear. He has
definitely
played
agree with that.
I've always, you know, even though I'm not a Prince fan, I've always said he's an incredible musician.
He really is. He really, really is. We got to give him that prop, no matter what. But as far as like the persona, the rebranding, like we talked about David Bowie, the Ziggy Stardust, and those eras. And I even heard him say I think I told you I found a great interview with him from 1984, I think. But he was talking in that interview. He was talking in that interview. He was saying, those were personas. That was the music, and so I just put on the persona to fit the music, and that's how he did it. Prince, I think, was a persona. You know, I think
this definitely wasn't the real him.
Yeah, I don't know if many people really knew the real him. And I think that was by design from the beginning.
It's kind of like an Alice Cooper thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it makes sense to me because so many performers are really introverted and shy. Yeah. And I can really see where this kid who obviously had blood in his music. Mm-hmm. You should see a doctor about that. Had music in his blood. And
I like that though, that blood in his music. Yeah. That's an interesting song idea right there.
You're right. It would be. Oh, the music in our blood. Our bloody music. Our
there
bloody music.
Bloody music.
Yes.
Anyway, I could see him at least somewhat cognitively deciding to make a persona to pursue music. I'm not going to try to put words in a dead man's mouth, but I could kind of see where he might do that. Because he was really shy. I mean, for all intents and purposes, he didn't do interviews. The one with Larry King was like huge. Because he just didn't do interviews very often. I just think he was shy. And it's funny because sometimes when you watch videos and stuff, you'll see like this big smile in a scene real quick. Mm-hmm. And it'll be like, oh, I caught you. That was the, what was his name? Prince Rogers Nelson. Prince is actually his real name.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like his birth given name by his parents.
Yep.
Wow.
And I want to say his dad gave him that name, something about so that he would pursue
greatness.
His dad's dreams, the dreams, the musical dreams that his dad didn't achieve. He wanted his son to. And well,
that's a whole lot of weight to put on your child's shoulders.
A prophetic name.
Yeah.
Like you name your kid Jesus and just keep an eye on the water and see if it turns into wine at some point. Powers activated. Sorry, I just saw a whole graphic novel about Jesus coming into his powers and the water coming out.
You know Anne Rice, don't you? You know Anne Rice, obviously.
Very much, yes.
She wrote a book called The Young Messiah, and where she deals with a prepubescent Jesus.
Oh, really?
Coming into his sense of self and coming into realizing, that he's the Messiah, that,
okay.
and struggling with that, the struggle that he had.
I wasn't reading her at that point, but I know that she wrote some books in that time, but I didn't know that she was like contemplating on what Jesus's teenage years were.
Yeah, well, this is like even preteen. It's a young Jesus, young Messiah.
I might have to read that one.
So I went to see the movie in the theater, and it came at a time that was important for me. Had a good message that helped me.
Oh, good.
Yeah, the Bible conveniently leaves out about 18 years of Jesus's life.
I don't know about convenient.
Skips from 6 years old. Skips from 6 years old all the way to 30.
He was just doing hard time. No one wants to talk about it. I'm sorry. That's just my sense of humor. I don't mean to disrespect anybody, but
it went from circumcision down to age 12,
right?
And then from age 12 to age 30. I mean,
Yeah, there we go.
It was the highlight reel. That's all.
There you go.
So Prince Rogers Nelson. Let's see. I think I was just rambling facts about him. So let me see if I can get some thread of conversation about Prince going. Okay, so this album. Why this album?
The Love Sign.
People call it the Love Symbol album because
Love Symbol.
They don't know what else to call it. But I was starting to say, not Larry Kramer, Larry
King.
Thank you. Larry King asked him why he came up with the artist formerly known as Prince, and Prince laughed and said that was not his doing. The media started calling him that because they couldn't pronounce his name, so that's just what they started calling him. But he actually laughed about it because he had to have just kind of chuckled at that time when everybody was scrambling. We don't even know what to call him. Can you imagine going to an interview and like, I don't know, Kata Couric or whoever it is like nervous because she doesn't know what to call you. Anyway.
What was his new name? I actually don't know this. Couldn't possibly pronounce it.
No, it's not pronounceable.
Oh, on purpose?
Yeah, he
really?
said he designed it, but it's a combination of the male and female symbols.
Oh, okay.
The Love Symbol album came out in 1992. So that was my senior year in high school. So I think, well, also the Diamonds and Pearls album had come out a couple years before that. So really my teenage years were embodied by those two albums, Diamonds and Pearls and The Love Symbol. I think what hit me about this one is that I'd mentioned before that I, as a teenager, my sexuality was ambivalent to even me, and I didn't feel any pressure to figure it out. I remember having a revelation once. I was standing out in the garage. You have any idea why we remember like where we were during a revelation?
Oh yeah.
With the space being so inane. Like I was standing in the garage. That has nothing to do with the story. But I remember I was standing there ironing clothes. It's so stupid. But anyway, I just thought, okay, this is how I'm going to figure it out. Whoever I have sex with first, that's what I am. It was my revelation. I swear. It made
fun
so
how
much
that doesn't
sense to
work
me.
out, isn't it?
Like, I'm not trying to have sex, so I guess whoever jumps on me first, that's just what I'll be.
That leaves a lot of variables out there, my
Doesn't
guy.
So, well, because I grew up during AIDS. I was a gay
Right.
kid growing up with the entire world telling me that I was going to die when I had sex.
Yep.
From my first,
Scary times.
memories of anything news related, it was AIDS. And,
I mean, that still prevails to this day, that fear. Not so much in the LGBT community.
not like it did then. I can tell you,
Sure.
because I'm of the age where I look at these kids having raw dog sex and not even caring because they're on PrEP, and I just want to slap them like I'm their Jewish mother or something.
We talked about this with our Stonewall Strawn episodes.
It's just ridiculous. But
Yeah.
that's where my head was. So as a teenager, I was scared of sex. I had lots of other reasons to be scared of, this possible gay thing hanging over my head. So of course, somebody like Prince, whose whole image was not ambidextrous,
androgynous.
Switch hitter.
I like to call it ambidextrous. Means you can jerk off with both hands.
No, I'm never going to be able to say the word right. The androgyny that he put forth really spoke to me. But you always kind of knew he was straight. Maybe if I'd listened to the music with a grown-up's sense of self or something, I would see it differently. But I always thought, because there were women, he's always singing to women, and he always had women around him on stage, he always seemed very obvious to me that he was straight and just, liked to wear really cool clothes. And for all I know, that's the God's honest truth. I don't know if anybody knows. But, that really spoke to me because, I saw this guy making awesome music. He was incredibly talented, but he also just had everything about him was unique. And, wow, did he speak frankly about sex? I've got to tell you, I didn't know what all these words were until I turned 48 and started reading them for this podcast. Man, some of his lyrics are blush-worthy.
Take a powder or something?
I had to splash myself. It's getting a little verklempt. Yeah. But, all that was just, it was like he was packaging this whole experience for me. It fit my hole real good. There was a hole in me.
Did you get mofo for your money?
I got mofo by mofo
for your money.
Mofo for my buck.
Mofo for your buck.
I am embarrassing white. I'm sorry. I can't even rap slowly.
We're all embarrassingly white. That's the downside of our podcast.
You don't know it until, because when you're singing along with the song, you're basically just mumbling, but you think you're singing it. So when you actually try to say it, it's like, oh, I can't actually say that. So anyway, that's who Prince was when I was a senior, and why I was so ripe for his particular entertainment. And I was also at a place where I knew I wanted more from life, and I knew it was not in Monrovia. And I knew what my interests were. Again, being afraid of sex like I was, it came out, a lot of my teenage sexual angst came out in my artwork. I was always drawing like the Guess ads for magazines, because they were going through this huge black and white ad campaign, and I was just really drawn to that kind of visuals. So a lot of my sketches were very sexually oriented, but that was, I wasn't screwing around making babies. I was drawing pictures of boobies and
haunted vaginas.
So I wanted more, and I knew I wasn't going to find it. And I'd gotten into, by this time I was well into photography. I'd been into it for over a year when this album came out. So I had dreams of going to New York and doing whatever people do when they go to New York and getting famous. And I knew a lot of that, meant I was probably going to have to do stuff that I didn't want to do until I made it. And I was okay with that. And really the only thing that stopped me was just my own lack of belief in myself, which I still struggle with today. I just, any kid in high school, and not because I want them to go off to New York and whore themselves, but any kid in high school that has any kind of dream or ambition, I just can't help but encourage them to chase it, because if you don't, there's nothing but regret. You don't know what could have been. The worst is that, I became homeless and somehow found my way back to Indiana and went back to my mom and dad's house. That's the worst. Well, it's not the worst. Anyway, that's what I wanted for myself. And through this music, it seemed possible. I can see myself in his videos dancing and doing all that. And God damn it, I had the talent at the time too. I wasn't always this fat. I liked to dance and sing, and I really wanted some kind of life and entertainment. But
I remember seeing a picture of you like when you were a teenager. You look like Patrick Swayze, I thought.
Yeah, I used to think my mom paid people to say that, but they still do. So I guess she didn't. Or she made them sign very long contracts. Now I get Chris Farley.
There's things. Hey, they were both in a skit on Saturday Night Live.
Yes, they were.
So
thank you for reminding me of that, as everyone does just every so often.
It's a good skit.
Is it? Okay.
Oh, that's great. Chris Farley was awesome.
I get Drew Carey.
Oh,
well, you have the glasses.
Especially with your glasses.
Yep.
I think I'd rather have Drew Carey. I get Jack Black a lot too, obviously, but people are like, well, why is that offensive? They're both so funny. There's a reason why you're trying to set your friend up with another friend and you tout their personality over their looks. If you show a picture of your friend, they're not going to want to go out with them. So anyway, those are the facts of my life.
Facts of life.
Yep.
So okay, the Max. Let's break this down. There are a couple lines in here that do speak to me directly, and actually, it's a good segue from what I was just talking about, wanting to just a little bit. If I just believed in myself a little bit more, I would have gone. I just would have been out of here, because it's just, life wasn't ever going to be what I wanted it to be. And so this is what I really felt in the song I'm stuttering. When my back is so far back, it's on the other side of the wall. When half a chance is all I get, if I get a chance at all. It's really hard to read the words without sing-songing them. When the going gets tougher than the tough can go, I grind the axe. That's when I go to the max. And then there was another... Oh, yeah. When they tell me to walk a straight line, I put on crooked shoes. When they tell me I can't live forever, I pay some overdues. When they start making up a crazy rule, that's when I break a back, because I go to the max. You guys are going to be treated to the story tonight, because I thought of it on the way over here, and I wouldn't have had it if we were to record it the last time. So when I was reading the lyrics while I was driving. When I was listening to the song on the way over here, and when they start making up crazy rules, that's when I break a back. It reminded me of another instance in my senior year where my friend Melissa, hey Cooter, shout out. I'm going to make you listen to this episode, by the way. She got in trouble. She got sent home once for her wardrobe, and she had on denim shorts and a bodysuit, which in 1993, if you were a girl not wearing a bodysuit, you were probably naked. I mean, they were shirts that you didn't have to tuck in because they snapped like a diaper. So you never had to, anyway, it was the whole thing. But anyway, principal sent her home. Well, the little activist in me thought, well, that seems sexist and misogynistic. So I went home that night and I took a pair of my jeans and I cut them off just below the back pocket.
Oh, no.
Then I took the sides and I ripped them all the way up to the waistline.
Oh, no.
And I took some fishnet and I sewed it in there. And then I painted a bunch of crazy stuff on them. And so when I got up in the morning, I put those on with no underwear and a half tee on. Remember, I was a lot thinner then.
Oh, no.
And I went to school.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get sent home?
No, sir.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
Sexism.
Did you get beat up?
No, because no, I didn't. And that was the odd thing to me.
Did anybody talk to you?
More people than ever.
Okay.
Because I think they knew what I was doing. Because Melissa was popular.
Mm-hmm.
She, not because of, she just liked everybody and everybody liked her. She was just effervescent. Everyone liked her. So they all knew that she'd been sent home and they knew that we were friends, even though we didn't really at school, we didn't hang out, but they knew that, we were tight. So I think they knew what I was doing. They'd thumbs up in the hallway or kind of laugh, but not in a offensive way, which I was used to that, but laughing out of respect for me, that was different. But yeah, that's who I was. I just love that story. And I took that outfit to my senior pictures too, and had some pictures taken in it. So anyway, wow. I was a rebel. Also my senior year. Why am I spelling all this tea on myself?
It's great. I love it.
I had never skipped school. Never, ever. I'd never been late. I'd never skipped a class. But my 18th birthday was in October of my senior year. Whew, I just made up for lost time. I skipped school. I went and got my first tattoo. And then I went up to Lafayette and posed nude for the first time. That was how I that's how I did 18. That's who I'm talking about when I say that I saw this life on screen and I wanted it. And I would have done anything to have it. And maybe I would have regretted that too. Maybe I would have done things that I regret. But hell, here I am sitting here today and I have regrets. So I don't think you can escape life without having regrets. So I would rather regret having done something than to not have done the thing.
Mm-hmm. And
that's me. That's kind of been my journey as far as this episode. And that just wasn't flowing. That wasn't coming out when we tried to record last time. So I apologize for that, but that does now conclude pretty much. I think I've said everything I wanted to say.
Prince?
About Prince and his
Well,
music.
what about the second song?
There wasn't as much lyrically about 3 Chains of Gold. Yeah, let me talk about that for a minute. I wanted you to hear that one because of the rock opera aspect.
What's the rock opera about in the first place?
Okay, yeah.
They call it the Love Symbol album. But
well,
what's it about?
The rock opera is about, and you. So I smiled and said, "Hey," when you got the Middle Eastern influence in the music. Mm-hmm. That was intentional. The song is about a 16-year-old princess of the Egyptian king.
Oh.
Who was murdered.
Oh.
And there's this lore of
the king 3 was chains murdered or the princess?
The king.
Okay. Oh, the king. Okay, I got you now.
And there's this lore of the 3 chains, kind of like the rings or whatever, that 3 rulers each had a chain. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that she did when she found out that her people, like girls in waiting or whatever, told her that her dad had just been killed, she went and got that chain and gave it to Prince. And off he went, because no one, he's just an entertainer from America. No one's going to be checking him. So she gave him that, and it's the symbol so he worked that into the lore of the whole thing beautifully. I thought that was so cool. And he wore it that whole time. He wore that symbol necklace. I think he actually wore it for the rest of his life. But so anyway, then it's kind of a murky kind of love story between them. Kind of goes back and forth throughout the album. But you hear her say, "Give back the chains. If you don't, you will die." In that movie that was packaged with the album at the time, I don't know if it was that came out at the time, fleshed that out a whole lot more. You actually saw the murder, and there were a lot of scenes that pulled the videos parts together into a more cohesive story. So the videos that you can pull up on YouTube, I mean, they're cool videos and they're Prince videos, whatever. But when you see them as a whole, as part of the story, you're like, oh, whoa, that's what was going on. Oh, that's cool. The comic book I don't have because they want like $300 or $400 for it. I'm not doing that. But some really smart person who I could just kiss did scan it and put it on YouTube as like a graphic novel kind of thing. So I've at least seen the content, and how he told different parts of the story through different parts of media was just brilliant. And I don't remember anyone having done anything like that before. Since, yes, a lot of people go on a multimedia, kind of way about their releases, but I didn't even know he'd done it. I didn't even know all that was out there to be had back in 93, 92, 93. So thank goodness for podcasting and eBay because they made me very happy YouTube. Prince fan. And YouTube.
Yeah, yes. All right.
I mean, I watch a lot of Star Wars comics on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
I don't buy the comic books. I watch them on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I have bought some comic books because they're like essential lore to have, but but I watch them on YouTube. It's like a mini movie or whatever. It's
right.
Cool.
Yeah. Sometimes it's okay just having the content in your head and knowing what the.
Well, I'll say on that second song, the three
Chains of Gold.
3 Chains of Gold. It was very Broadway. A lot of great stuff going on musically, so it was aggressive is the wrong word, but, definitely high marks for creativity and being.
It wasn't going to be a runaway pop hit.
Yeah, pursuing something that's challenging, a challenging piece, and then it definitely had a Broadway or, like you said, a rock opera kind of feel to it, and I could visualize stagecraft going on and some cool stuff with the main singer and the girl singer, and and like I said there at the end, I got chills kind of. With this, you go before me. Yeah. This idea of you're going to die before I do. And I just, all these people like pointing their finger at the main, you go before me, you go, I don't know. It just kind of, I got the chills. It could be just coffee. And I have to pee like really bad.
There we go. Pretty cold. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. For the sake of everyone's bladder. And so we'll see you next time for episode 5 of
The Music in Us.
All right, kids.
Now for some catharsis.
Catharsis?
I want to watch that movie now.
Which one?
It's the Prince movie.
Oh, yeah. You can do that. Thank you for listening to The Music in Us. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Also, we would love to hear from you. Please reach out to us when you can, any way that you can. Email us at themusicinuspodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at themusicinuspod, Facebook at themusicinuspodcast, or on our website, themusicinus.com. We'll see you next week with another great gabfest about the universal language of music.